What's shaking, y'all? Hey, I'm so sorry I missed the TCEA conference, but I am going to give you my presentations on this YouTube channel. So this presentation is about how to use choice boards inside of Book Creator. Let's check it out. So on the screen and linked down below this video is a link to the slides for this presentation, which is loaded with additional resources. So you can open that up. You can open it in another tab and follow along as we go. Now, if you haven't met me before, my name is Kasey Bell. I'm a digital learning coach, blogger, speaker, author, podcaster, all in the name of helping teachers learn how to use technology meaningfully in the classroom. And there are lots of different places you will find me, but most everything is at shakeuplearning.com. All of my social accounts are at shakeuplearning. I do have a new Instagram account to help support teachers that you'll see linked down in the bottom right. That is at Jesus Loves Teachers. That is just Instagram. But all of those other links that you see below, if you are following along on the slides, you can click and open those up. I would love to connect and learn with you after today's presentation. So this presentation came from a few different things. First of all, I did a full blog post and YouTube tutorial on this idea of creating choice boards with Book Creator. Now, this is not a tutorial on how to use Book Creator, although I do point out some of the features, but it is really just to present this idea. I have been talking about choice boards for years. I use them in my own middle school language arts classroom, and it really just changed the game for me. And that's why I am such a big fan of doing this. And I love Book Creator. And for years, I have wanted to really learn it. And I had to set aside some time. And that's what I did. And when I really dug in, I'm like, I think I can use this to create choice boards, not just books and not just choice boards, but actually books of choice boards. So stay with me here. If you go into this full blog post here in this YouTube video, you will get a little bit of what I'm talking about today, but slightly different. And really kind of talking about this idea of compiling choice boards by the week and creating a whole book of choice boards for the week. Now, let me show you the advantages of creating your choice boards inside of Book Creator. But before we do that, let me also set the groundwork for choice boards, just in case there's anybody new here and you have never heard me talk about choice boards before, because everybody kind of has their own take. But I did begin learning about these initially called learning menus. And to me, these words are interchangeable. So whether you're calling it a choice board or a learning menu, it's a form of differentiated learning that gives students a menu or choice of learning activities. That's it. A lot of times you will see them in these grid formats like you see in the top right, but they can take any kind of format that you prefer. And I love these for so many reasons. One, as someone who was afraid of differentiation when I first started teaching, I knew in theory how it worked, but how to actually do it was another thing. This was really how I began that journey in my own classroom. The other thing, choice is empowering, and it is a great way for our students to learn and take advantage of learning things in a different way from each other, because all students learn differently, and we know that. So to give them opportunities to reach the learning goal on a flexible learning path can be really powerful. So number one, it's all about choice, y'all. It doesn't have anything to do with technology, even though y'all know me as the techie girl and the Google girl. This has nothing to do with Google or tech. It's about choice. And you can create using a variety of styles and mediums. Yes, these were around long before I even started teaching, which is now nearing my 20th year. So they've been around for a while. And of course, they started in paper formats, which are perfectly fine, but we can also bring them to life with digital interactivity and using the 4 C's. So the power of choice boards, like I said, is something I've talked a lot about over the years. And I even put together a free ebook a couple of years ago called The Teacher's Guide to Digital Choice Boards. So if this is new to you, or if you want a lot of free templates, go grab a copy of this book. So I will also have that link below the video, but if you're following along in the slides, you can click on that or the image to go fill out the form, and I will send you this ebook. So what do choice boards look like? Okay, well, anything you can think of, really. And even if you just Google choice board or learning menu, you're going to see a ton of different options. So like I said, you're only limited by your own creativity. And guess what? That's one of the 4 C's, and it works perfectly with Book Creator. So they can look like menus, like restaurant menus. They can look like just a grid of 9 squares, which happens to also be a tic-tac-toe. They can also be bingo boards. You'll see this grid thing is obviously very popular, but they can take all kinds of formats. They can have images, not have images. They can have links, not have links, all types. And if you didn't happen to notice, there are examples here for every kind of level that you may teach, every subject area you may teach. Back up, because that's a Fortnite themed menu. Yes, I do share Tommy's work all the time, and everybody loves that one. I have shared podcast PD choice boards, free templates. That last one happens to be from Slides Mania. Lots and lots of places that you can go find examples and creation, but I do have tons for you on my blog and as well in that ebook that I mentioned. So we're going to talk about 2 different things today. First, we're going to talk about teachers creating choice boards and activities in Book Creator. And then we're going to talk about the other side of the coin, which is students creating their responses and products in Book Creator. So those responses to whatever the activity is that the teacher designed. So there's 2 sides. There's the teacher use and the student use. Now, just a quick little glance at Book Creator if you've never used it. Like I said, I'm not new to Book Creator, but this is the first time I've actually set aside a good chunk of time to go play. And the first thing you're going to do is create a new book. And you do specifically have to select comic book if you want to use some of the comic book templates that I'm going to share with you and why those are so great for choice boards. Like, they make it easier. So that's just a recommendation, but that's what you see in my little screenshot here. And select a cover. Well, one of the other great things about Book Creator is they have partnered with Canva, another one of my favorite apps, and they have pre-made book cover templates that you can go revise and make your own, and then it automatically imports it back into Book Creator for you. It's very, very simple. That's how I created this cover you see right here. Very, very simple. And I was not trying to reinvent the wheel. So I'm just trying to learn. So I just grabbed one, named it, put Miss Bell's class on it, and then took off. And it was super simple. I did it really probably in seconds, but I'm also very familiar with Canva. So once you have started your book, and if you chose that comic book type of book, then you can go into layouts and access all of these. What do these look like to me? They look like choice boards. So I love this. And for some reason, I don't know if it was new or not, but I did not see the 9 squares when I initially made my first video. You'll hear me talk about that. But that right there is my tic-tac-toe. So you can do all of these. They can be slanted. You can be whatever you want. So however many options you need to put on a page, you can do this inside the comic book. It doesn't actually have to have anything to do with a comic book. Now, this was the first example that I shared and talked about, and I call this the weekly bell ringer choice board. And by that, I mean creating a choice board of bell ringers that students can choose which one they want to do on which day of the week. So I hand this out on Monday, and they choose which one they want to do. It doesn't have to be everybody doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, which is, again, is one of the reasons why I love choice boards. Now, I did happen to choose 6 options, which means what? they're going to do all but one of these. They just get to choose the order. That gives them some autonomy in making this choice. Every single one of these are actually links to, I believe it's back to history.com. I just went to a day in history and pulled some examples here for some bell ringers where they're reading some articles about what happened in history. Of course, every subject area has their own style of bell ringers, whether these are links, whether these are instructions, whatever it is. But what about the idea of packaging the week into one page? And of course, this being a page in their book, in Book Creator. So this is something that they can easily just click on, go read it, and take care of, anything else if you want to have follow-up questions or reflections or share outs or whatever it is that you do with your bell ringers. And again, it's just a quick way to incorporate some choice without it being overwhelming. And, it doesn't have to be super complicated. Okay, this next one, which I titled Pick 2, but it could be Pick 3, Pick 4, Pick 5. You can name and however many choices you want to do, but I will get into some tips later. So this one happens to be Pick 2. And the intention on this one is to pick one from the top row and one from the bottom row. The top, all of those links are back to Google templates where they are going to go complete some kind of project. The bottom row, they're all videos. Now, here's the thing. I was also trying to learn some of the features inside Book Creator as I was creating this. So I was learning, okay, what does it look like when I embed a video? Because that's a pretty powerful tool to add to a choice board. Not just linking to the video, but embedding that video right there. Now, I love Google, so these are connections back to Google templates for comparison, timeline, and in Civil War profiles. And thank you to Sarah Kiefer, who actually gave me the content for the top row. Like I said, I didn't need the content. I just needed to figure out some ways to use this. So we've got links, we've got videos, and guess what else you see in here? There's the links, and there are those little audio clips. So you can record inside of Book Creator. You don't have to separately go do this. You can do this inside of Book Creator. Record and insert audio. This is great for a teacher to read the directions aloud. One, it helps a lot of students who struggle with reading, but it also helps everyone, right? Hearing your voice, it adds a personal touch. And of course, there are many other reasons and ways you may want to use that audio feature, but that was just one way that I thought it would be helpful inside a choice board. And then, of course, like I said, embedding those videos. So there are, 3 little features that I played around with right here inside this particular choice board. Now, when you're inside of Book Creator, it kind of took me a while to find all the tools. When you're inside in near the top right, you will find your menu. And under Media, you have all kinds of options. You can insert images. You can use the camera, both to take a picture or to record a video. So students, recording themselves, as well as the teacher, obviously. There's a pen tool. There is a text box, and then that audio tool that I mentioned earlier. You will only see these little options when you are in the comic book type of book inside Book Creator. So this is contextual depending on what type of book you're creating. I'm not going to get into all of the other tools. Like I said, not necessarily a Book Creator tutorial, but I want you to be aware of why I think this is a powerful tool for creating choice boards. So there are also some shapes, and there under more is where you can make those connections back to Canva and Google Drive and other things like that. Now, I have used the novel study Tic-tac-toe many times on my blog. I've talked about it just as an example, but tic-tac-toes are my absolute favorite. So it's like I have to make a tic-tac-toe. For whatever reason, I did not see the 9 squares in the layouts. So I made my own with the shapes. So same thing, which is just as, useful. And I just happened to make it a little bit more colorful than the original Google Doc. So this was all my content, and I just copied and pasted it over. So the original novel study Tic-tac-toe, which many of you may have seen right here, and it's color-coded to kind of demonstrate some instructional design. Talk a lot about that in my other presentations, but just to let you know. And if you want this, you can use this template. It's linked right there for you inside the slides. But I just wanted you to know where this content came from. This particular one doesn't have links, but it could. So for instance, number 5 talks about writing a summary and adding it to a collaborative slide deck. So that would need to be linked if you were using this. Some of these options should be adjusted for your own classroom. So that is definitely something I talk about and have learned a lot about over the years. But in particular, I did an on-air coaching episode of my podcast, The Shake Up Learning Show, with Carly Black. It's episode 10. And I'm nearing 200 episodes. So this is early on. And Carly used this in her classroom. And when we used the coaching questions, we eventually got to the fact that she didn't need this. And it actually assessed something that she had already assessed. So when you are finding these free templates online, that is my biggest thing to tell you. Make sure it assesses what you need to assess, that you're not just distracted by something that's cool in a free download or even a paid download, especially if you're paying for it. Make sure it fits your classroom. And even if it is that, we all have classes that vary from year to year. So make sure that this is the right way to design the tic-tac-toe choice board for your classroom before you decide to implement. So as I was playing, I also made this page. So don't be distracted. I promise I'm going to explain it, but this was essentially me trying to fit in every type of response that I might use inside Book Creator with students. So this is that student side that we're talking about. And, the various choices that students might have from an activity in a choice board, or if you're just learning about Book Creator like I was, any type of thing you might have a student do or create. So I tried my best to squeeze it into one page, which was a little bit difficult and why it looks a little bit crazy here. But let's just walk through here. So you can add any kind of embed code. So I happened to link to a Wakelet board. And it didn't give me a little preview image. It just shows that it's a link. Sometimes, like Google Slides, you'll see a preview image. It depends. And this was not embed code, but it would work the same way. So anytime you get that code from another app that lets you put it into your app, into Book Creator, then you'll have those options. So it kind of depends on what you're embedding. The voice response. So I talked about the teacher using that audio feature and recording. Getting students to record and using this is a really great idea. First of all, we tend to think that kids love videos and making them and being on camera, and that's not completely true. So one, if they're not comfortable putting their face on camera, audio is a great option. The other thing is it's just audio is a great option. Audio helps students do a lot of things. They can practice their fluency. It's good for helping them learn the ins and outs of different types of technology that they may want to use. It's great for reflection, lots of different options. There are also different backgrounds. So I kind of focused on the comic strip, but you can also do lots of different types of backgrounds, including paper backgrounds, like this graph paper. So you could legitimately have kids graph something because there is paper and there is a pen tool. You do have that. And guess what? If you're not so great with the pen, like me, you can use the auto draw response. So if you're familiar with Google, the auto draw option where you draw something and it tries to predict what you're drawing. So I was trying to draw a slice of pizza. And then up at the top, it makes suggestions. And yes, that is an AI tool that is trying to predict what you're trying to draw and help you and give you an option. And so that is another great way for students to respond and to have a drawing response, whether you're using the auto draw tool to have them draw something or if they're writing something else out. And then, of course, the comic strip as a response. I love having students create comic strips. I learned a lot of lessons in my own classroom from doing this, but it helps to make students create concise stories. It's great for summarization. My one warning is to make sure that the content that you're using is appropriate to be told in a comic strip, because something happens to tone and mood very quickly when you put it in a comic strip. So you don't want to have them doing the Holocaust in a comic strip. Now, Google, so you can connect your Google Drive and import those Google Drive files. That's what I did right here. And let me show you real quick. I want to hop on over to Book Creator, because something you can't tell at the static image is what happens when you're inside and you have these links. So for instance, going back to that Wakelet board that I mentioned, if students are in this, I'm actually in edit mode, but you can still see it. It opens up in a preview window right here, so you can actually access without leaving Book Creator. And as a teacher, you know, as soon as students open up something else, you're in trouble. You've lost 15 minutes of instructional time. Same thing with this slides presentation, which this was actually a cool one shared in the Google for Education trainers group, a Google Workspace choice board. But it's just embedded and it opens up right here. Again, not having to open that up somewhere else. Now, up here at the top, the webcam that you can use, you can do the response. It can be a still picture or video. Great for so many reasons. If you've ever used Flip, you know the power of using those video responses, but this is built into Book Creator. And, you know, a lot of times you may have kids doing things on paper. Have them take a picture of it, put it up on video, have them explain it in a video. And then down here, I wanted to mention that inside the text box, there is a microphone, so it can actually recognize and do a speech to text response. So you can actually speak into it and have it translated into text inside Book Creator. Again, keep in mind, I'm talking about student response ideas, but every single thing that I'm talking about, the teacher can use and the student can use. That Canva integration that I mentioned, well, guess what? Canva has tons of choice board templates. This little grid here that you can come and customize and make your own. Image responses, because you can insert images, and images can be really, really powerful. Maybe the image itself is a response. Maybe it's a writing prompt. Maybe they're annotating on top of the image. There are so many things they can do. And let's add some more. There is a commenting feature inside Book Creator. So they can comment, they can collaborate, and they can even add other things inside their comments. They can add emojis, they can add stickers. Y'all, it goes on and on and on. And this page, honestly, just doesn't do it justice. But I felt like I had to hit both sides of that coin, both the teacher creation of choice boards, but also what students can do. So the types of activities you may want to design inside of Book Creator. I think this is really powerful. Now, let's talk about some choice board tips. If you are new to choice boards, listen up. Lots of things to learn, and many things that I learned the hard way that I don't want you to have to learn the hard way. Start small. 2 to 3 choices is plenty for the first few times. In fact, I would just stick with 2. Like that, pick two. That's it. Just for the first few times, you like to think kids want to make choices, but they will be overwhelmed and they'll spend way too much class time trying to make a decision. And start with 1 to 2 learning targets. So within your choice board, align these to your learning targets. Making a choice board that aligns with every learning target in your unit, that's going to be huge. Narrow that down, and also will make your grading so much easier and more specific. Like I said, many students will not like choice, so be prepared to encourage and help them with decision paralysis. And guess what? Your high achievers often have the toughest time with this because they think there's a correct thing to pick. They are so used to the game of school and they want you to tell them, but Miss Bell, which one leads me to the 110? They don't get it. The students who just want to get their work done will look for an easy way out. That was the first thing some of my students did, was try to figure out which thing required the least amount of effort. Make sure they don't have one. You need to have balance in rigor and time commitment. Now, there's no way to make that perfect. As you know, anytime you give any type of activity to students, there are some that finish faster than others. That's just natural. But just keep this in mind as you design these and set deadlines. That decision paralysis needs a deadline. So they have to make a choice by a certain time and they have to commit to that. So that needs to be, inside Google Classroom, commenting, marking up, sharing that, going to the teacher for approval, whatever it is. They need a deadline. And again, I just want to reiterate, be cautious when you're downloading choice boards or anything online to review and revise it to fit your classroom's goals and needs. There's lots of talk right now about some schools even banning the use of TPT because it's not vetted. And when I don't like that, because that means they don't trust their teachers. But teachers, sometimes we do get what I call shiny object syndrome and distracted by things that look fun and creative and colorful. Just, take the time to revise it and make sure it fits your classroom. Again, here is another link back to that free ebook that I mentioned. It's also linked below this video. Tons of examples, and this is where I explain that instructional design that I use for Tic-tac-toe, which really made things so much easier for me. And if you are ready for more, if you go to Shake Up Learning and you search for Choice Board, you're going to find tons. I have linked every single one of these images back to Choice Board specific resources and templates that you can go grab and learn about, and lots of ideas all the way up to professional learning. So Podcast PD Choice Board, that is for you. That is for adults. You can do choice boards at any level. If I haven't said that already, the littles can do choice boards. They may just need to be more visual. That's where that video comes in and can be so helpful, but you can use them in middle school, high school, and even professional learning. And you know what? I want to see your choice boards. I need examples to help teachers, and I want to see what you're doing. Give me ideas so I can help more teachers and we can all help each other. We don't all need to go buy these things. So go check out this folder, go add things to this folder, and don't forget to make yours viewable to anyone with the link so people can make a copy. And if you haven't already, I would encourage you to listen to my podcast, The Shake Up Learning Show, where I share not only choice board ideas, but tons of teacher technology ideas that you can use in class, practical ideas. That's really my jam, but you can listen pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. You will find The Shake Up Learning Show. And there is the link in case anyone missed it. There's also a link to leave me some feedback. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I'm so sorry I did not get to deliver this in person at the book creator booth at TCEA, but you know what? I will see you all in 2024, and I'm going to cross my fingers. No more ice storms for Texas. Bye, y'all.